Oops. You guys, I'll be back in a minute. Sorry, I was reading an article on my phone and then I lost track of time. A quick question for those of you that buy cryptocurrency, buy and sell, which platform do you use? Coinbase Pro, Coinbase, Binance, Robinhood? I just was curious.
I bought some using Robinhood, but like before the whole scandal happened.
I have a from 2017 when I bought. I don't do much anymore, but I had Coinbase and then I had GDAX, which turned to Coinbase Pro. So that's the one that's the lower base. So for Lock, you said Coinbase. You mean Coinbase Pro, right? Because that's cheaper, or you just go with Coinbase?
It's just regular Coinbase.
Oh, but that guy has high fees though.
Oh, really?
So if
I just started it, so I don't.
Yeah. So what you want to do, the fee is a lot. What you want to do is, there's the same company, Coinbase Pro. So what happens is, it's significantly less fee, like 0.5%, as opposed to like whatever few percent. The interface doesn't look as good, but if you're regularly buying and selling, that's what you want to use. And then of course you transfer it back and forth. So your wallet is in Coinbase, but then Coinbase Pro is where you want to make your trades.
All right, I'll take a look.
It's the same company. You go back and forth with your money on those. But then I hear Robinhood or Binance has less fees, but I don't know much about them. Yeah, Dogecoin you can't buy on Coinbase though. When you guys say you had Dogecoin, like how many? You have 768 shares of Dogecoin? Is that what you're saying, Daniel?
Yeah. I made a lot of profit off of it.
That's $138.
Yeah. I barely spent anything on it.
So a lot percentage-wise, not a lot of dollars.
Oh yeah, the return profit, yeah.
$138. This doesn't even pay 1 month's rent.
You can buy me McDonald's for a month.
All right. You know what I forgot to do? Oh, so I posted the answers to some of the problems on the word problems just a couple hours ago. Did you guys see that? Not all of them, but some of them. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna check my email, so I'm gonna have to. 1 second, sure. Content. Okay, I'm exiting. I exited for a reason, but I want to check the email here. That's fine. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is what I put up in on Canvas for you. So I did number 15, number 23, 35, and 37. But don't worry about 37 as far as the test goes. Now that's not all of them, but that's a few of them. So you can go ahead and look at those after you try to answer. Is there any particular questions besides those that you want me to do for you right now from the homework? Or anything questions from the section before before 4-7? Any questions about life or the Lakers or anything? Yeah, while you guys are thinking about it, I'm gonna go get a glass of water. I'll be right back.
Dogecoin's at 18 cents now. It was 12 yesterday. Ouch.
What?
No.
So what do you use? What platform? Robinhood? Oh, so is Robinhood's fees a little less? Well, how do they make money? Commission.
Supposedly, I think they make,
There's always a fee. You just have to figure out where it's coming out of.
I think they make their money off. I remember. I think I read something about their advertising. I guess just advertising, advertisements. I should say.
No, I was trying to read an article about it, but then I saw the time was 3:15. All right, let's move along. So, any questions on anything? You guys look at the thing. That's why you don't have any questions. Let's be honest. Okay. Any questions on this? Oh, hold on. Okay, and no problem, Mirs. Okay, since you guys don't have any questions, I will put up a call here and have you guys do the best you can on this next one, okay?
Is this a continuation to the notes?
What's one of the homework questions? You guys want to try to do the homework questions over the weekend and ask me next time then on 4.77?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Is there anything from the previous sections, 4.3, which was the answers that I put up? Is there anything from there you want me to do?
If we could do a bit of 4.3 and 4.4 before the quiz, that would be great.
No, I want right now, not before the quiz.
Right?
Can you just pick a problem, Professor?
Okay, fine.
You think it would be beneficial?
Let's do. Well, I'm not going to do the ones I already posted for you. So let's do number 9 on section 4.3. f of x equals x to the third. All right, Brian, I'll come back. I'll do that right after. F of x equals x to the third minus 3x squared minus 9x plus 4. Part A, find the interval which is increasing. Part B, the local max min, and C, the intervals which is concave up or down. All right, so basically the same three things that I asked you on the questions that I gave you, A and A are switched. All right, so let's first find the critical values. So take the derivative, set it equal to 0. I'm going to divide everything by 3 on both sides. The numbers are both by negative 3, minus 3 and plus 1. So we get x equals 3, x equals negative 1. Are we good so far? There's my number line. I gotta pick a representative x value from each region. I'm gonna plug it into the first derivative. So first derivative is 3x squared minus 6x minus 9. I'm gonna pick a value of negative 1. Let's do negative 2. So that's 3 times 4, which is 12. Plus 12 is 24, minus 9 is 3, so increasing here. Now let's pick a value in the middle, so let's do 0. F of 0 is negative 9, so it's decreasing. Let's plug in 4. So 3 times 16 is 48, minus 24 is 24, minus 9 is 3. All right, it's increasing. All right, to answer the question for part A, it's increasing on negative infinity to negative 1, union 3 to infinity. Decreasing on negative 1 to 3. Does that make sense? Now since I already did part A, part B, I'm going to do the first derivative because the work is already right here. For the first derivative, the work is already right there. All I got to do for part B is figure out my y values for negative 1 and the y values for 3, and I got my answer. So if negative 1 is the original function. The original function is right here that I highlighted in blue. So plug in negative 1 into that function. So we get negative 1, minus 3 is negative 4, plus 9 is 5, plus 4 is 9. You guys get 9?
Yes.
Hold on. Just double check. Negative 1, minus 3, plus 9. Okay. Now let's plug in 3. 3 to the third is 27. Minus 27. Minus 27 again. Plus 4. Negative 3 is that what you guys got here?
Yes.
All right, so now determine if this is the max or min. Well, see, look at the highlighted region that I put in orange there. Up, down, so that's a max. Down, and up, so that's all min. So there's the answer for part B. Now for part C, Some inflection. Well, let's take the second derivative. So the first derivative is x squared minus 6x minus 9. So we take the derivative again, and we get 6x minus 6. Set it equals 0. And we get x equals 1. So my point of inflection is 1 on whatever the y value is. Well, what's the y value? Plug in 1. Go back to the original function. That's what I like to do over here. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Minus 9 plus 4. So negative 7. Now, I need to confirm that that's really a point of inflection. Well, while I check out the intervals, which is concave up and concave down, to confirm, I'll automatically answer both the concavity question and the point of inflection question. So pick a value to the left of 1. Let's pick 0, and let's plug it into the second derivative. I get negative 6, which is concave down. Let's plug in a value to the right of 1. How about 2? 12 minus 6 is 6, so it's concave up. All right, so it does switch concavity, so that's good. So the answer is concave up on, this is a 1 here, from 1 to infinity, concave down on negative infinity to 1. So this is my answer for part C. So this was number 9 on section 4.3. I just want to make sure I didn't make a careless mistake if I'm giving you this on your notes. Then the back of the book will just say CU for concave up, CD on concave down, and IP inflection point. Okay. Any questions on that? All right, let's go to 31 on section 4.4 for Brian. Did that problem make sense? Now make sure you do the additional questions over the weekend, and then look at the answer key after you're lost or you want to check. Don't just read my answer keys. You don't really get benefit out of that. Got that, Desiree?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I don't really trust physics people, so I gotta make sure. If someone gets a degree in physics, you know they're really smart. You want to know how? Because there's no good physics teachers. So they did it on pure brains.
I actually heard of that too.
It was from me. I say it every year. I rag on physics professors. All right, so let's see here. I'm thinking L'Hopital's rule, but we got to confirm it here. What's the arc sine of 0 here? So the bottom is 0, x is 0, but what about arc sine of 0? That's also 0, because if you remember your unit circle, what angles give you the output of 0? Sine of what angle gives you 0? When they ask you what's the arc sine of 0, meaning sine of what gives you 0? Well, sine of 0 gives you 0, right? So this is a 0 over 0 scenario. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So we're going to use L'Hopital's rule, take the derivative of the top. What's the derivative of the top? 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. The whole thing divided by the bottom, which is just 1, the derivative of the bottom. All right, now we're going to plug in 0. 1 over square root of 1 minus 0 squared. So that's 1 over 1, which is 1. Brian, where did this throw you off?
It was kind of like one of those things where like I got the answer, but I wasn't sure of it. Like it felt like I was doing something wrong because it was kind of like short, you know? So
Oh, and you thought the back of the book had 1, but you just got lucky that you got the right answer?
that's exactly, yeah. I hate when I do that because sometimes I'll just get lucky, but I know I didn't like do the process right, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like I do that a lot. So that's why like I'm always like double checking and double guessing just to make sure that I know how to get the answer the correct way.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Don't they have also, I mean, you don't have to do it now, but is there a solutions manual that you, like a student solutions manual that you can get online so it gives you the step-by-step for the odd numbers?
There's a website called Slater, and if you type in your textbook, it'll have all the answers and how to do them, which is super convenient if you're stuck.
Nice.
Any other questions? Yeah, so the app, there's a lot of apps, but you don't use this on a test. Oh, Slater with a D. I was thinking Slater with a T, like AC Slater. All right, well, let's move along to, so what have we learned in chapter 4 so far? We've done, you should know how to get critical numbers. You want me to make a list here? This is an informal list, okay? I could be skipping stuff. Be able to get critical numbers, absolute max min, mean value theorem, along with Rolle's theorem. Uh, 4.3, which was a bunch of stuff. Relative max min, increasing, decreasing, concavity, etc. Basically, the questions that I ask you on the homework for 4.3. 4.4, which is L hospital, L'Hopital's rule. See, I tried to talk and I misspelled L'Hopital. .5, which is optimization. No, sorry, not 4.5. 4.7. And now we're going to do today's lesson, which is 4.9. Antiderivatives. So this book, for those of you who've taken calculus before, you're going to wonder, wait a minute, how come you're not using the integration symbol? Ooh, that gets introduced in chapter 5. For those of you who have not had calculus before, don't worry, just go with what I'm doing. You don't have a thing to worry about because you haven't seen the stuff in chapter 5, so you're good. So basically what we're doing in this section, what we're doing in this section is we're going backwards. The question is, I give you what the derivative is. The answer, what you're supposed to do is tell me what the original function is. So you're going reverse. Now, what's the benefit of doing that? You'll see later in chapter 5. So you have to learn a couple of different notations here. So when we had f of x, when we take the derivative, we called it f prime of x because we're taking the derivative. But in this section, we're going backwards. So we can't say f prime of x. So the notation that this book will use is, or we're going to use, is capital F of x. So capital F is the antiderivative of f of x. So for example, let's say I ask you to take the antiderivative, find the antiderivative of f of x equals x squared. So it's not 2x, that's the derivative. You're going backwards. So to go backwards, so you would say capital F of x is equal to, let me do it in a different color. So capital F of x is equal to, here's what you do. You add 1 to the exponent, which is 3, divide by the new exponent. So I don't like, instead of saying divided by 3, I like to go times 1/3. That's the same as dividing by 3. And then plus c, plus a constant. I'll explain what that means in a second. Okay, so first let me confirm why this is the right answer. If you take the derivative of what I wrote in blue, you should get back the original question. So remember back on the first exam, if I said take the derivative of y equals 1/3 x cubed, how would you do it? You would say, oh, 3 times 1/3, which is 1, times x, subtract 1 from the exponent, 3 minus 1 is 2. You see how we got back the original answer? So that's how I know I took the antiderivative correctly. So here's the formula for it now. If you have f of x equaling x to the n, the way you would take the antiderivative is you would say capital F of x is equal to x to the n plus 1. So you add 1 to the exponent. And then after you add 1, your new exponent, you divide by it. So you divide by n plus 1. So I just say there's a 1 there, so divide by n plus 1. And then plus c. I forgot to explain the plus c. So the question here is, what's the function where you take the derivative of and you get x squared? Well, 1/3 x cubed is one answer. Are there other answers? Yes, because what about y equals 1/3 x cubed plus 5? Isn't the derivative of that also x squared? What about y equals 1/3 x cubed plus 200? Isn't the derivative of that also x squared? So it's basically y equals 1/3 x cubed plus any constant. The derivative of that would be just x squared. So instead of writing it all out, there's an infinite number of answers, we just say 1/3 x cubed plus c. Now, I'm not a fan of this going from little f to capital F. So when you're doing the homework, the book will give you 2 different types of notation. They'll say, by the way, what you're doing in all of this section is finding the antiderivative. You're just going to say, they're going to ask you to find the most general antiderivative, meaning you're going to put a plus c. So when you're finding the antiderivative, let me just write this out. When finding the antiderivative for this section here, if they give you f of x, you're going to call the antiderivative capital F of x. But in the later problems, they're going to say f prime of x. So the antiderivative would just be f of x. I like that one better, but you got to know them all. Out of these two, I prefer this one, where I would give you f prime and I say find the antiderivative to give me f. But you got to know both for this section. So let's do a few using the first notation. And the way you want to check your answer on these, if you're not sure if you did it correctly or not, you just take your answer and take the derivative of it. Because what have we been doing the first 10 weeks? Taking derivatives. So whatever your answer is, take the derivative of it, and you should get back the original question. So here we go. F of x equals 1 over x to the third. And basically, I'm only taught you one rule so far. It's the power rule. So basically, you add 1 to the exponent, and then you divide by the new exponent. So in this case, I'm going to rewrite it. Now I'm going to use the power rule for taking the antiderivative. So I'm going to call this capital F now. Add 1 to the exponent, which is -2. -3 plus 1 is -2. Divide by -2. So there's already an invisible 1 here. So when you divide it by -2, you get -1/2. And then plus c. So there's your answer. Or you could say capital F of x equals -1 over 2x squared plus c if you want to write it with a positive exponent. Now, if you want to check your answer, what you would do is, well, take the derivative of that. -2 times -1/2 is +1, x to the -3 plus c. And you see how when I took the derivative, I got back to the line above it. So I know I did it correctly. Any questions? All right. Now, if you have something like this, f of x equals 1 over x. If you try to use the same technique that I did in the previous problem, watch what happens. This is x to the -1. Let's use the power rule. Don't write this down because I'm going to mess it up. Watch this. Power rule. Add 1 to the exponent, 0. Divide by 0. Isn't something wrong there? You can't divide by 0. What the heck is going on? So this is a special case. When you run into that, little alarm should go off and say, wait a minute, let's back up. Derivative of what function gave us 1 over x?
Natural log.
Yes. So capital F of x equals natural log of x plus c. Any questions so far? All right. Aaliyah, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Professor. Thank you. How about yourself?
Oh, not bad. Just waiting for the weekend.
Same.
Now, what if you have f of x equaling e to the 3x? The antiderivative here is going to be itself, but instead of times 3, you're going to go divide it by 3 plus c. So let me give you the general formula for an exponential function. If you have f of x equaling b times e to the ax, where a and b are numbers, the antiderivative is going to be e to the ax, but divide by a, so b over a plus c. Now, when you're taking the antiderivative of an exponential with base e, You only know how to take the antiderivative if it's e to the some number times x. So if it's just f of x equaling e to some number, like let's say 5x, you could have a number out here like 20, that's fine. So you can take the antiderivative of this. You would say capital F of x is equal to itself divided by 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4. That's the only type you know how to do right now. You can't do e to the x squared or e to the anything else. Those are much tougher questions, which you're going to learn how to do later on. Right now, you only know how to do e to the some number times x. You'll find that taking the antiderivative tends to be much tougher. Right now, we're just doing very basic ones. The reason why antiderivative is much tougher, one of the reasons, is there is no such thing as a product rule or a quotient rule. So if two things are attached together, you got to figure out what to do. And don't worry about that right now. That's what you have Math 152 for. But you'll do a few things here in this class. But as far as addition and subtraction goes, you can treat them like separate questions. So the addition and subtraction is still good. If you have something like a multiplication or a division, well, use your algebra skills to see if you can make it an addition or subtraction. So let me have you guys do these two questions. Do the best you can. I'm picking some of the problems from the book. And just keep in mind, if you ever get stuck on a question on these couple problems I'm going to do, just ask yourself the question, the derivative of what gives me what I'm staring at? And that might help you answer the question. All right, first one is f of x equals x squared minus 3x plus 2. When you're done with that one, do this one. G of x, well, I should call it f of x. This is a different question. 4th root of x cubed plus cube root of x to the 4th. All right, let's go over this here. So capital F of x is equal to. So this is going to be 1/3 x to the third. The second term, let's see here, minus, you add 1 to the exponent, so it's x squared. Divide by 2. There's already a 3 here, so 3 over 2. Plus, what's the antiderivative of 2?
2x.
Yes, exactly, 2x. Because the derivative of 2x is 2. And then plus c. And that's it, we're done. So the second question, I don't know why I left so much space. First, I want to rewrite it. This is really x to the 3/4 plus x to the 4/3. So now I'm going to use the power rule, capital F of x. So add 1 to the exponent. 3/4 plus 1 is 7/4. Divide by 7/4 is the same as multiplying by 4 over 7. So there you go. Please do not put the 1 over 7/4. Have some self-respect. Plus, add 1 to the exponent here. 4/3 plus 1. So remember, 4/3 plus 1, that's 1 is really 3 over 3. So that would be 7/3. Divide by 7/3, which is the same as multiplying by 3 over 7. Plus c. I one time was grading a final exam. The student had no idea what they were doing, and they were just putting plus c after every question. The answer was a number, plus c. Derivative, plus c. Oh, no.
Professor, can you explain again how you got the 4 over 7 and the 3 over 7, please?
Oh, yeah. So let's go back to the first term here. So you add 1 to the exponent, 3/4. So 3/4 plus 1, which is the same as 3/4 plus 4 over 4, right? Which would be 7 over 4. So that's how I got to that. Now divide by 7 over 4. So instead of me going 1 divided by 7 over 4, that's the same as 1 times 4 over 7, which is 4 over 7. And that's what I have here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any questions?
So is it safe to say, like, if we see that there's a 1 as a coefficient, we just do the reciprocal if it's like in fraction form and just
Well,
put it to,
not even if it's 1, if it's anything. If it's, let's say there was a 5 here, you still go divide and times the reciprocal, yeah. So if it was 5, you would go 5 times 4 over 7, and then you would say 20 over 7. All right, let's do this one. G of x equals 5 minus 4x cubed plus 2x to the 6th divided by x to the 6th. Now remember, just like derivatives, you can't just take the antiderivative of each term individually when it's a quotient. But here you don't even have this, something that you don't have a quotient rule for taking antiderivatives. You just can't go backwards on a quotient rule. Luckily, the problems in this section are handpicked and are handpicked so that you can do them. In this case, when your divisor is just one term, put it underneath each term. So let's simplify first before we take the antiderivative. So that's just 5 over x to the 6th minus 4x to the 3rd over x to the 6th plus 2x to the 6th over x to the 6th. So right now I'm still just doing some algebra. So this is 5x to the minus 6 minus. Now over here, 3 of the x's cancel out, right? So I'll be left with 4 over x, oops. 4 over x to the third plus, here they all cancel out 2. So let me rewrite it one more time. 5x to the minus 6 minus 4x to the minus 3 plus 2. All right, now I'm ready to take the antiderivative. So you guys finish the problem for me. Day, what happened? You're not asking and participating in class. We might have to deduct some participation points from your grade.
I'm doing the problem, Professor.
Okay. I like how he's so polite. All right, so capital G of x is equal to, let's see, you add 1 to the exponent. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. Divide by negative 5. Okay, I'll write it out for you. You can just say negative 1. I'll do it on the next step because I'm doing it for your notes. Minus, let's see here, add 1 to the exponent, negative 2. Negative 4 divided by negative 2. And that would be positive 2. So, and then plus the antiderivative of 2 is 2x plus c. So let's clean this up. Negative 1 x to the minus 5 plus 2 x to the minus 2 plus 2x plus c. So this is a perfectly good answer right here. And I'll do one more step just in case you want to see the answer in with positive exponents. So either or is fine. Any questions? Cool, how are we doing over there? Hey, June, how are you doing? Your headset looks lovely. That's all I can see. All right. Well, let's take a break. We'll do a few more questions. How about we start in 9 minutes, 4:15, okay? Come back. All right. So you guys find the antiderivative of the following. If you're not sure if you have the right answer or not, take the derivative of your answer and see if it matches the original problem. All right, here you go. First one, f of x equals 3 times e to the x plus 7 secant squared x. Second one, f of x equals 2 times the square root of x plus 6 cosine x. So what we're doing on these problems, by the way, is we're finding the general antiderivative with the plus c. Well, what's not a general one? We'll get to that. All right, so the antiderivative here would be 3e to the x just itself, because the derivative of e to the x is itself, so it's just times 3. And derivative of what gives us secant squared? Anyone remember?
Tangent.
Yes, so this would be 7 tangent of x and then plus c. Does that make sense? All right, next. If you want on this second one, rewrite it because of the radical. All right, so we're taking the antiderivative. So capital F of x is equal to, so I'm going to add 1 to the exponent. So 1/2 plus 1 is 3 over 2. Now, divide by 3 over 2 is the same as multiplying by 2/3. So this is what I'm doing. There's a 2 here. So 2 divided by 3 over 2 is the same as 2 times 2 over 3, which is 4/3. But I'm going to write it as 2 times 2/3 here for you, and then I'll change it on the next step. Plus, what's the antiderivative of cosine? Not negative sign, just sine. So 6 sine of x. Here's the reason why. And plus c. Because the derivative of sine is cosine. So when you're going backwards, be careful on the sign. All right, so the answer is 4/3 x to the 3/2 plus 6 sine x plus c. And if you were to take the derivative of this, you should get back the original. Does that make sense? Good. All right, so moving on now. Next, if, so there's a new question. If f double prime of x is equal to 2 plus x to the 3rd plus x to the 6th, find f. So what happens here is you're given the second derivative and you're asked to find the original function. So you got to move 2 steps back instead of 1 step back. So to move 2 steps back, you got to move 1 step back first, then another step. So first, we're going to get the first derivative. I can't go from the second derivative to the original function. I have to first go to the first derivative, 1 step back, get that answer, and then 1 more step back. So first, let's take the antiderivative. It's 2x. The antiderivative of 2 is 2x. The antiderivative of x to the third is 1/4 x to the fourth plus 1/7 x to the seventh plus c. So far, so good? Now I'm going to take 1 more step back and go to the original function. Now, what's the antiderivative of 2x? X squared, right? What's the antiderivative of the next term? So x to the fourth, when you add 1 to it, it's x to the fifth. Divide by 5. What's 1/4 divided by 5? 1/20, right? Because 1/4 divided by 5 is the same as 1/4 times 1/5, which is 1/20. Just to let you know, I'm not trying to be mean. You should be very comfortable with fractions at this point in your math career. When you go to Math 152, your professor is going to be really mad. This is how the professor is going to look at you. Like you just cursed in church if you have trouble with fractions. Add 1 to x here, 5. Oh, no, here you go. Okay, so that's add 1 to x to the 7 plus 1 is 8. Divide by 8. 1/7 divided by 8 is 1/56. Plus, what's the antiderivative of c? Remember, c is just constant, like the number 5. What would the antiderivative of 5 be? 5x. What would the antiderivative of 6 be? 6x. So this would be cx. Plus that's a constant. Now, I can't use the letter e again. Because this constant might not necessarily be the same, so I'll use d. Now, you could theoretically run out of letters if you keep, let's say I gave you the 20 on the other derivative and you want to go all the way back. Well, you can use c sub 1, c sub 2, c sub 3, so you don't have to run out of that. You just use the subscripts. So, but in this case, we're done, so I would just stop. I just use the end. Does this make sense? So this is the original function. You can always check your answer. If you take the derivative of this one time, you'll get to this line. If you take the derivative again, you'll get to the second derivative. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe. This is a pretty easy section. You think this is the right? I'm sure. All right. Yeah. So far we've been doing general antiderivatives. Now we're going to do specific ones. Given f prime of x equals 8x to the third plus 12x plus 3. And f of 1 equals 6. So the question is, find f such that it meets the requirements. I should have said that. Find f such that meets the requirements. So the way you would do this question is, go ahead and get the antiderivative first. So this is the problem in a different color. So the black part is given to you, and what I do in blue is what you're supposed to do. So take the antiderivative x to the fourth, divide by 4. Here 4 is 2. plus x squared divided by 2. 12 over 2 is 6. Plus 3x plus c. Now, in this case, they're saying f of 1 has to equal 6. That means if I input x equals 1, the output should be 6. So you go 2 times 1 to the 4th, plus 6 times 1 squared, plus 3 times 1, plus c equals 6. Now, why do I input 1 into the original function? Because it says f of 1 equals 6. It doesn't say f prime of 1. Now let's solve for c. 2 plus 6 plus 3 plus c equals 6. That's 9 plus c equals 6, minus 9 to both sides. C equals -3. Oh, no, not 9, 11. What did I put 9 for? Equals 11. Minus 11 to both sides, so 6 minus 11 is -5. So my final answer is f of x equals. I'm just going to copy that line, 2x to the 4th plus 6x squared plus 3x. But instead of plus c, I'm going to put -5. So basically, I just recopied this line, but now instead of the plus c, I put what c is equal to, which is -5. Does that make sense? All right. Let's do one more. F prime of t is equal to 2 cosine t plus secant squared t. Don't erase it. I'm just going to write it smaller. Where t is between -pi/2 and pi/2, and f of pi/3 is equal to 4. You guys want to try to do this? All right. And then her day will show us how it's done, right? Right after, in about 3 minutes. All right, while you're working on that, I gotta get on Canvas here. So I went to LabCorp yesterday. I signed up. You can do this through their website. I got an antibody test for COVID. I want to know if I have the antibodies for COVID. If maybe I've gotten it in the past year and the symptoms were mild. So I'm very interested to see if it's positive or negative. Any of you did the antibody test at all ever in the past year? Oh, what a boring bunch you guys are. All right, I'm going to go over this here. So, taking the antiderivative would be 2 sine t. Antiderivative of secant is tangent t plus c. So, f of pi over 3 equals 4. That means if you plug in pi over 3, which is 60 degrees, you should get an output of 4. All right, what is the sine of 60 degrees? Root 3 over 2. What's the tangent of 60 degrees? Root 3. Here the 2's cancel out, so root 3 plus root 3 is 2 root 3 plus c equals 4. Solve for c, so c equals 4 minus 2 rad 3. So we have our final answer, which is, let me write it over here, f of t equals 2 sine t plus tangent of t plus 4 minus 2 rad 3. How many of you got that? All right, very good. So that's 4.9. And that closes our chapter 4. So if you want, I just don't want your brains to be scrambled up, because just make sure you don't mix up derivative with antiderivative. So the quiz you're doing today, you're going to be taking the derivative. So if you want to take another 5-minute break to look at your notes, take a break, whatever, we'll take the quiz at 4:40 and we're pretty much done. I mean, you take the quiz and then we'll be done by 5 o'clock. Is that okay with you guys, or do you guys want to do some more math instead? Lauren probably wants to do more math, but oh, so once these 2's cancel out, you have a radical 3 plus a radical 3, which would be 2 radical 3. So it's like 1 radical 3 plus 1 radical 3 is 2 radical 3. Maris, you're hanging in there? So Madison, I had a student last semester. This is how they look like in my class with the camera on. They just had this, and I see their head like this. It looks weird because I'm bald, but this is them. You just see maybe the eyebrow and the forehead, and that's it. Well, can you like move your camera down? This is them. Move the camera down. Okay, fine. Well, hold on. At first it's like this, then they move it down. Is that better? Is that better? I'm like, really? You can't go like this? Oh, egg on the screen. Yeah, so it looks like it. See how smooth my skin is? Wow, you guys wish you had this great of a skin. Oh, you want to see how I looked like with hair? Sure. I don't have that many pictures on my phone because back then I didn't have an iPhone when I had a lot of hair. Let's see here. I thought I showed you guys, no? You know what? I will actually show you a picture with my let's see, my old boss. He retired now. Well, it's not that much hair here, but he looked very military. No, not that much hair, but and then if you want to see a lot of hair, you got to go way back. There you can see the last time I had a beard, see, it was all black. He went Brittany. What's Brittany?
Oh my God, Professor, it's like so iconic.
What?
Just look up an article on it.
She shaved her head.
Oh yeah, no, she. Oh yeah. Well, no, I didn't shave my head. I was bald. If I let it grow out, it won't look like that anymore. But it'll be like a horseshoe. Brittany, I I had a student that she was a big Britney Spears fan. She said the reason why she shaved her head, it's not because she had a mental breakdown. The real reason is she was going to get tested, and I guess for drugs. And at that time, marijuana was taboo. Something along the lines where they could take her hair and she would still test positive. But if she shaves it all, now they have no hair to take to where she fails the drug test. And because she was fighting for custody or I don't know, that's what she said, my student. All right. How do you guys know Britney Spears? When she was in her heyday, you guys were not even born yet. Well, I guess she has been popular the last 20 years as well.
Her influence transcends everything.
She was really popular, I remember, late 90s, early 2000s. I guess she was still popular after that, but I stopped caring. All right, moving on. You guys ready for the quiz? I gotta. Oh yeah, I saw it. Her boyfriend is a Persian guy, actually. Her current boyfriend. I'm Persian, by the way. That's why I was laughing. I don't want you to think I'm racist. So her day, but then again, I was in India half my life. What does that to do with anything?
I know, I'm still pretty, like, I don't know everything about American culture, or even its
Okay,
form.
but that but makes you better in math because you went to elementary school in India.
I suck at math.
Speak in Persian, professor. I just said, what do you want me to tell you? All right, let me change the due date here on the king. That's Shah. Shah means king. So when they say the Shah of Iran, it's the king of Iran. All right, let's get started. Quiz number 5. Who's EDM? No, she's not an EDM artist. She's a real artist. EDM is not music. Just because you go bum, 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 for 5 hours, that's not music. Okay, here we go. F of x equals 3x to the 4th minus 15x squared plus 12. Just find the critical X values and stop. No need to get the Y values. You don't have to write the directions here. Just write the f of x. All right, so let me explain to you number two. Number two, use L'Hopital's rule to find the limit as t approaches 0. Please pay attention. You see, write this down correctly. It's 8 to the t power minus 5 to the t power divided by t. When I say no calculator, meaning your final answer, I want an exact form. Don't put in your calculator to give me a decimal approximation. All right, when you're done, submit it in as quiz 5. It's due in 5:05. Go ahead. You got plenty of time. Mark, I just read your message. EDM is more than blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I don't do drugs, so I can't tell if there's more than blah, 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 blah in there. Let's take the quiz. We'll continue this conversation next time. Yeah, for number two, they're both to the power of t. It's 8 to the t minus 5 to the t, the whole thing divided by t. Yeah, after you submit, just check your own submission, click on it, make sure you submitted it, then yeah, leave. I'm just answering people's question on the chat. You got 10 more minutes. You should really be done in 5 minutes, and then you got 5 minutes to scan. So 10 minutes. All right, make sure you finish in the next 3 to 4 minutes, okay? All right, you guys, I'll extend it's 5:02 right now. I'm gonna give you guys, instead of 5:05, I'll make it 5:10, but you gotta have it submitted before 5:10, okay? Otherwise, I will deduct. Hey, you guys, I'm gonna just end the meeting. Submit it before 5:10. In case of an emergency, you can't do anything, then email it to me. But if you want to see how I grade it, submit it before 5:10, okay? It's 5:04 right now.